And now, words of wisdom with Adam Carriker.
Well, hey, at least we know AJ McCarron's girlfriend is real.
And on that very real note, we welcome you inside Fourth and Pain, a Friday edition, the only pro wrestling show to be hosted by an NFL player and a weight loss champion. On the other end of the line, Redskins defensive end Adam Carriker.
Holy Moses Malone.
And I'm former wrestling announcer turned weight loss champion Chuck Carroll. This here is Fourth and Pain. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Fourth and Pain. And whatever else you do with your Sunday mornings, join us 8 o'clock bright and early, 1067 The Fan, the fastest hour in pro football and pro wrestling. And oh my, what in the holy hell is going on in South Bend, Adam Carriker?
Well, you're the Notre Dame guy. You're the Manti Te'o, he should win Heisman guy. I mean, well, what is going on? You tell us.
I can tell you this. Last month when we were debating should Manti win the Heisman, should he be the college football MVP, should he be a first-round draft pick, talking about all of those things, nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, saw this scandal coming. And this is, honest to God, Adam, the first time I can remember in sports, in life in general, outside of a kid that we used to ridicule in high school who had a girlfriend, quote unquote, that went to a rival high school that we never saw, mind you. But now this is splashed across the front page of every sports paper in the nation. First Town on ESPN. Obviously, we're talking about it here on Fourth and Pain, CBS. I mean, it's everywhere. Manti Te'o. What in the world is going on here? He comes out, Adam, and he says that he is a victim of a hoax. This is an internet hoax. But all the while, he's been saying, he spent time with this girl. He's left her on the phone overnight while she was battling leukemia just so he could hear her sleep. I don't know what in the world would possess a man to come out, tell these lies or at least half-truths, and now he's saying all in all that this was a hoax. What in the world could possess the man to do this?
I mean, it's a tough situation because we at this point, we don't know all the facts. We don't have all the information. All we have from him is a statement. I don't know if he's going to say more. I would assume he'd have to, but you've got to get all the facts. You've got to get all the information before you can rush, before you can make a judgment, before you can decide what your opinion is. To me, right now, honestly, I feel bad for him if he is just a really gullible kid who was sucked into somebody, as he called it, a sick joke. If he is a perpetrator in this and he was a part of this humongous lie, then he's getting everything he deserves. And I get a feeling that that's not the case, but we don't know. There are people at Notre Dame who have called him the most honest, trustworthy person they've ever seen. Then you've got conversations where he says that she is the love of his life, that she had met his family, that he had seen her face to face, and now all of a sudden she doesn't exist. So there's holes in this story that, are blatantly there. And then there's also people who are saying this kid is the most honorable human being they've ever met. Notre Dame comes out and backed him 100%. The AD, Jack Swart, breaks down for everybody in the nation to see and just gives him 100% backing. And they had an internal investigation done. They said independent of themselves, so it should be unbiased. So we just don't know what to make of this at this point with the limited information we have.
Right, but let's talk about what we do know. What we do know is in early December, Manti Te'o claims that he put 2 and 2 together. He goes to school officials and says, hey, I believe that this was a hoax. And then school officials, they decide, they go out, they hire private investigators after determining that there could be no legal recourse for whoever this person was perpetrating the hoax, if there was another person perpetrating it, mind you. All of this is pure speculation, but what we do know is private investigators were brought in. Manti Te'o's representative, Tom Condon with CAA, said that they were going to release a statement on Monday. That never happened. Instead, ESPN gets a hold of this. They sit on it for 2 days. Meanwhile, Deadspin scoops it, breaks this whole thing. And so here you and I sit on a Friday morning discussing this, and the whole world is talking about this. And now the question is not just why would this happen, but his real future in the NFL, a once certain first-round draft pick. Not so sure where he's going to fall now. And it's not for lack of a playing ability. It's not because he came out and he laid an egg in the national championship game. It's because, is this a trustworthy individual? GMs, head coaches, you know this. You've been to the combine. You've sat through all of these countless interviews. 32 teams in the NFL. Each one of them will interrogate a prospect as though they were a criminal. You sit there. You have to answer questions about your credibility, about your background, about your history, about your character. And now all of that is called into question. Adam, if you're a coach, if you're a GM, and you're taking stock of all of this, how does that affect your decision whether or not to take Manti Te'o in the draft? And moreover, where would you take him in the draft?
I mean, I'm not a coach. I'm not a GM. I don't know. It's like when people ask me, should Shanahan have put Robert back in the game? I said I'd flip a coin. That's not what I do. What I will say is, first of all, it's going to depend on what comes out. Was he just that gullible? Was he just that naive? Or was he a part of this? Because neither one is good. He's not going to come out smelling like roses no matter how this ends up. But one is significantly worse than the other. And to me, if he comes out and it just, he's just really gullible and he was just duped by this sick joke, then it's not going to be as bad. To me, one of the intriguing things about Manti Te'o to NFL teams, especially as a middle linebacker, which is typically the quarterback of the defense, and the way he led that Notre Dame team and the entire university, you draft him to be a leader of men, to be one of the leaders in your locker room within a year or two of being drafted. And now, let's say he was, tricked, and let's say he did believe something that was completely untrue that most people would not have fallen for. All of a sudden, guys are going to look at him a little bit differently. Instead of Manti Te'o, the guy who almost won the Heisman, I have a lot of respect for this guy. Now there may be a few chuckles in that locker room wherever he goes, like, oh, what a gullible, naive guy this kid is. Why would I listen to him? Why would I pay attention to him? On the other hand, if it comes out that he was behind this and he was a part of this, that's even worse, because now he's a liar. Now his character is completely called into question, and he could severely drop. So either way, I think one way he drops a little bit, if it turns out he's just gullible, and I think if it turns out he was part of this and he was one of the perpetrators as well, he drops a lot.
All right. Well, there are two thoughts here that I have running through my mind, and this is strictly my opinion. I want to couch that with this. Take the fact out of the equation that I am a Notre Dame guy. I am a Golden Domer. I've made no qualms about that. You know this about me. I'm an Irish guy. It makes sense that I root for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Take all of that out of the equation. What you need to look at as to try to determine for yourself whether or not Te'o is telling the truth in this story is you need to look at his upbringing. This is a devout Mormon, okay, who's attending a Catholic university, a deeply religious individual. And what I know from personal experience is that guys like Te'o, they may not have the greatest dating experience in the world. Especially somebody that's been cast into the football spotlight. This is what he's been doing. And so while he may be in his early 20s at this point, he may have the relationship skills, and this is going to sound crazy, of a 13 or 14-year-old where a quote-unquote internet or a cyber relationship is real to him. And so everything that he felt was real. But in the media, because he's somewhat ashamed of it, he knows that he's behind, his teammates or his peers that are his own age as far as relationships go. He decides to couch it. He decides to embellish a little bit. Talks about, seeing this girl in Hawaii, meeting her brother. Of course, they're meeting at the Stanford game. And he tells those lies. And then obviously his father gets involved and also says that he met the girl. And so that's kind of my school of thought. I honestly believe that he embellished this. He got duped. He's just a shy guy that really got taken advantage of. And because he didn't want to be cast in a bad light in the media as, oh my God, look at this loser. He has a cyber girlfriend. He can't even get a real girl when he's Manti freaking Te'o. That's kind of what I think is going on there. Now, Adam, the other school of thought is, and this is one that's been floated out there, I've heard it on a lot of talk shows this week, is that this actually has to do with the fact that he may, and I say this, may in fact be homosexual. Now, I think that this is a bit of a reach to go from a fake girlfriend to being a homosexual. I'm not so sure where that actually factors into the equation, if that's truly the case, Adam. But my big question to you is this. As a player in the NFL, and there are no openly gay athletes in the National Football League, How much of an effect would it be if Te'o were to come out and say, yes, you know what? This was created because I am a homosexual. I apologize, but these are the facts. I know about the stigma of homosexuals in the National Football League. I know about the stigma of homosexuals in professional sports or in sports in general. I didn't want my draft stock to be affected. I didn't want to have a glaring eye be cast upon me by my teammates in the National Football League or in the Notre Dame locker room. How much of a big deal would that actually be?
Well, first of all, I mean, you stated it clearly. Let's just make sure people do understand. We are not saying in any way, shape, or form that it has been proven or that he is a homosexual. It's just pure speculation that has been bantered about by certain talk shows throughout the day and throughout yesterday. And to me, before I answer your question, to me, if I was in his shoes, and let's just say for a second that I'm Manti Te'o and that I'm gay, look, how tough of a situation would that be? He is Manti Te'o. Going to be a first-round draft pick, projected All-American. As it turns out, he's second in the Heisman. He is a star player on the biggest, the football university in America, Notre Dame. And if it comes out that he is homosexual, people in America, people across the world are more tolerant, are more accepting of various ways of living your life, such as being homosexual, than they were, far more now than they were before. But he would have still gotten so much backlash. So in that situation, I got to be honest, it would be tough to come out and say that I am gay, if in fact he is, which we have no idea. So I could understand why this would happen, why this would take place. And once again, we're not saying that he is, just if that's the case.
Sure.
Now, as far as answering your question, I got to be honest. There's a lot of players in the NFL. There's 32 teams. There's 53 guys on a roster, 8 guys on a practice squad. I don't know what 32 times 61 is. I am not Sheldon Cooper off the Big Bang Theory. Off the top of my head, I can't do that math. But I will say I would be surprised if there was not at least one, if not more than a few, homosexual players throughout the NFL. But it is just so tough to come out. Even though we're more tolerant today than we once were, it is so tough to come out and proclaim that you're a homosexual in the NFL and as a pro athlete.
But I think as far as his future in the NFL is concerned, and we are running out of time here, I think as far as his future in the NFL is concerned, the bigger story here right now is whether or not he's involved, whether or not he's been telling the truth all along, embellishing, as we alluded to earlier, or if he's gay. I think that the bigger story, honestly, is the truth-telling, and it goes to character headed into the NFL draft. That's really what it needs to focus on. But at this point, with all of this speculation out there, with all of these rumors and innuendo swirling, he needs to come out and get in front of this thing. He needs to issue a statement. He needs to come out from behind closed doors, not making a pun there. He just needs to come out, make a statement, address the situation, even if it's just a sentence or two. Somebody needs to get this kid on the record. He needs to stop ducking the press. He needs to stop canceling those interviews with ESPN, stop canceling press conferences, come out, get in front of this thing, because until he does that, this thing is only going to get bigger, bolder, and make him look even badder heading into the NFL draft.
Well, I agree with you. It's really tough because you kind of just want it to go away, but the snowball effect is in full effect. I mean, ESPN First Take talked about it for 2 hours. It was the leading story around the horn in PTI. It's out there. People know. He needs to address. He needs to say, you know, it was a lie. I was duped, and that's what he said to this point. Or he needs to say, you know, I was part of it, and just be open and honest. Or if he is gay. And on the gay front, real quick, I don't think it would be. I made it sound like it would be a horrible thing. When I say that, I think the reaction of the fans might be rough, but I think the players themselves, for the most part, would be understanding. But he does need to get in front of this. Well, he's not. I don't know how he can get in front of it, but he needs to catch up with this and get his face out there, just like Lance Armstrong did last night.
And now let's transition, talk about what we talk about best, a little bit about pro wrestling. Last night, TNA Impact, of course, all about the wedding between Brooke Hogan, Hulk's daughter, looks an awful lot like him, and Bully Ray. And then, of course, the big old match between Jeff Hardy. He's teaming up with Lance Storm, taking on Daniels and Kaz. And I'm telling you, just a jam-packed show, man. Talk to me. What did you take away?
First of all, you saying that you find Hulk Hogan kind of attractive, saying it looks like Brooke?
I'm saying that his daughter looks an awful lot like him, and there's no question who the daddy is. That's all I'm saying by that statement, my friend.
You're either saying you find him attractive or you find Brooke unattractive. Either way, we'll
what I'm saying. What I'm saying is
ahead.
Brooke Hogan is
Go
a
ahead.
handsome woman. That's what I'm saying. She is a handsome woman. Way too tall for me. This girl is about 6'7", 6'8". She's 2 inches taller than you, Adam. And you look at all that height. She's got to be weighing.
Or 6'8".
No, you're right. She's
I
about
met
6'10". Dude, she's almost as tall as Elegante, and she's weighing in at about 350. This is a mastodon of a woman we're talking about here. She makes China look like a midget.
350 at 6'8".
If not 4 1/4.
That's a fifth.
She's a big
That's
girl.
a fifth right there.
She's a big
Completely
girl.
Full of crap. All right, real quickly, and then we'll move forward. The wedding obviously didn't go off as planned. Aces and eights interrupts. Here's what I don't get. What does Brooke Hogan see in Bully Ray? I mean, he's like 20 years older, if not 30 years older than she is. He is, I mean, there's nothing about him that screams he should even be with any sort of woman like this whatsoever. So I'm kind of glad it got broken up. I don't really know what she sees in him. And yeah, you know, Hardy gets the pinfall last night. Him and Storm get the win. That was pretty much a real quick synopsis, since we talked about Te'o so much today. Real quick synopsis of Impact.
So lots to talk about there, but then also tonight, The Rock, CM Punk, all of that is going to continue on SmackDown. Honestly, The Rock, the only thing I'm concerned about here moving forward, Adam, is can he continue to brush off the rust on his mic skills? Is he going to be able to finally step up, man up, and have a segment that is on par with CM Punk? That's all I really want to know about SmackDown.
Well, I think they're going to get better and better. The Rock's promos will. And I think he'll dust it off. I mean, he's not going to go out there and embarrass himself. The other thing you got to look at, I mean, Alberto Del Rio, new world champion. The Big Show came out on Monday. He wasn't too thrilled about this. He wasn't very happy. So you got to wonder how that's going to play out. Is Big Show going to attack him? Is he going to try and hurt him, maim him? You know, how do you think that's going to play out tonight?
Again, I got to give a hat tip to my boy, the Mexican Rodriguez, who, despite all of this, is just finding himself basking in the glory of it all. And so we all wish him well. You know, matter of fact, speaking of this, I wondered earlier today if he wouldn't be a good fit for the Royal Rumble. One of the, I mean, there are 30 slots. You got to figure he's going to fly at some point.
You know, I think that's a good idea. You totally dodged my question. I think the Big Show attacks Del Rio and tries to hurt him. But I also see Mexican Rodriguez in the Royal Rumble as well. I love that idea.
My man. And then WWE Divas match, Caitlyn going to be defending that title for the very first time tonight. And so stick around, watch that. But with that, we here are fresh out of time. I'm Chuck Carroll. Thank you so very much for believing in our quirkiness.
Adam Carriker, largest arms on that defensive line. Peace out, Fourth and Painters.